So another week here, working on a little bit of things on the race car. I run into a problem first off with the bell housing. I wanted to go ahead and get the bell housing cut up the way it was supposed to do, get the plate mounted on there that we talked about a few videos ago, to space it a 1/4 inch back to give room for the adjustable clutch. Well, one problem I realized with the plate is there's not enough room behind the flywheel for the 1/4 inch spacer without the flywheel hitting it. So in doing that, you have to basically get rid of the block protector, the bottom section down there near the oil pan of that plate, because nothing can be behind the actual flywheel besides maybe the QuickTime. I think it's like 100 thousandths thick, the one they send with the bell housing, but this is a 1/4 inch, so it's a little bit, right, it's more than double as thick. So to remedy that, besides wasting mine, I just put it in the bandsaw, split it right where the starter hole is, and went inside of it with the bandsaw and cut it out to where I would have room. So that's what I've been working on, and I basically got the bell housing here ready to go. I'll kind of show you what I did. Now these are some clearance access holes that I cut. This is to check the air gap, and this is to add weight, counterweight and stuff to the clutch, the sight window here. So if y'all have looked at these bell housings, these little bubbles for the starter here are just spot welded in a couple spots. So because I'm cutting these sections out and this is pretty much just laid on here, I decided to TIG weld all the way around on this just to beef it up a little bit. As far as the plate goes, this is what I got here, and I showed it in my last video with the painting of the car that I cut the bottom of this off, so I went ahead and trimmed that. That'll give me a lot more ground clearance. And also on the bell housing, I welded this back where I split it to go in here to open this up. And also I had Cody drill and countersink 3 stainless bolts to hold this plate to the bell housing where it's kind of just part of the bell housing. I'm actually going to take this whole thing to powder coating and have them freshen everything up and make it look new again now that I've hacked on it and stuff. So that's that. So on the car, we are getting rid of the pilot bearing that was in it, which you would normally put in any of these setups, and we are replacing it with this bushing, which I've got it tapped in there, started in there. But this is the extended bushing that extends over a 1/4 inch out. And this is an all-star bushing. If I can remember in the video, I'll post up the all-star part number that this is. But for race car stuff, we just use a bushing, no bearing, and that'll extend it out where you're not losing any support on the input shaft there. So just working through some stuff, and this is what we got so far. So on to something else. Worked on getting everything back together this afternoon. Pretty much everything is back on the car, ready to run. Everything is tightened up. Pretty much all of it's in place. So we're just waiting on the plumbing to get back. One thing I am doing, because it's been on my mind and it kind of bugs me every time I take it off, this cold pipe, I originally put it on with a flange that I got from Bullseye, which nothing wrong with the flange, I don't guess, but the turbo itself had a flat flange on it, and so I got the matching flange for it. But it's always bugged me that it didn't have a male female with an O-ring right here, and today just putting everything back together, and I thought I just don't like that at all. So luckily we keep some extra stuff. And I had a 4-inch male female V-band on the shelf with an O-ring, so I cut the flange off the turbo It's over there in the floor. And I cut the flange off the downpipe and threw it away. And now I have a nice male-female flange on here now that I have mocked up. I cut it right at the back side of the weld, and with this flange, the thickness difference in it, I was able to, put it on here and make it real nice. Which I hadn't welded it yet, but I've got it mocked up where it's perfect fitment right here. Taped it to the throttle body, and I'm going to roll the welder over here and weld pretty good portions all the way around, really light. That way it doesn't try to pull or anything. And then I'll take it over on the bench and weld it super nice all the way around, as well as the turbo compressor here. But actually a really good fitment though. Kind of cups over the compressor. Really like that. That'll weld nice. But other than that, everything's back together on the car, under the hood and under here, which the pedal assembly really pops now that everything is black. You really realize how nice it is. But everything is nice and solid now. I've got everything bolted up. Got the clutch line from Tick ran behind, and it'll come down right here to the transmission. Also ordered some longer dowel pins because we're going to be running our spacer. The motor's actually just sitting on the mid plate now. It's not even bolted up. I guess I probably should throw a bolt in there just for extra security while we're jacking the car up and down. But I left the reservoirs off for now because I still got to hook these lines up and stuff when I get the plumbing back, and then I'll bolt the reservoirs on and that'll be wrapped up. But moving right along, it's looking really nice with everything laid in there now. So let's get this cold pipe welded. So the cold pipe's back on the car now, fits like a dream. Actually improved the fitment even better than what it was to begin with this second go round. So really happy I've done that. I got something else on here I want to show you, is our bell inlet that come from Proper Fab today. Check out how huge this thing is. That's my hand. That gives you an idea. So obviously it's not going to be attached to the turbo, but rather it's going to be fixed to the inside of the one-piece nose there, which I'll grab it out of here and show you. So we're gonna have to trim it a little bit, but, well, not really. It's basically gonna go right there. You can see it tucks back in there really nice. We measured it and got it pretty well figured out, but it's gonna look really good in there, especially powder coated black. And I mean, that's gonna turn out really good. So really happy with that. So check out our trim ring. We got 20 gauge stainless steel, and like I said, let's see if I got a piece I can throw under there. Probably haven't got a piece of carbon that small. Yeah, we do. I'm curious to see what it looks like myself. So underneath this will be a piece of carbon. And they'll look real slick. Oh, that was a horrible example. It's a really dirty piece and it's not very big, but it'll match this carbon. And plus we're gonna get this black and have stainless screws in it. So that'll look really good. So that laser gets really, really detailed. It's hard to see how small that is, but that is like a needle edge there. So just getting through the stuff. Got the dry sump tank mounted, got all that stuff. Really just need some plumbing where we can go ahead and get all that stuff hooked up. I need to get rolling on the headers so the engine bay can pretty much be done. But I got too many other things I'm kind of juggling in my brain right now, and I really don't want to attempt to start doing the headers until I've got a clear mind and all this other stuff is took care of. So we'll get there. Maybe this week, maybe not, but definitely tomorrow. The front end is going back on, and I'm gonna get Joey to continue rolling with his idea on getting this bell inlet Frenched in the front and stuff, and that way we can get that took care of, because we got everything we need to do that. We sent the wing parts off to laser cutting today, the spill plates and stuff that we're doing out of aluminum, and we actually integrated the wicker bill gusset that's underneath the aluminum gusset and the gussets on the side. All that's kind of integrated into the shocks or the struts on the wing, and hopefully, maybe if it works out good, we'll be able to offer this as a kit to go on these cars. If you delete the hatch, maybe it'll work with the hatch, I don't know, but the way this one's designed, I took the hatch off, but it's still at the same level as the hatch would be, I guess, because it's flat with the back. So probably won't be able to offer the deck part in carbon like we're doing on my car, because I talked to our laser cutting place today, and they've attempted to cut carbon and stuff with the setup they have, and it will cut it, but they said it leaves a dirty edge, kind of like this edge is here, that all needs sanding. But they said it just don't work out good from what they've attempted in the past, so they just tell people they can't do it. So I think that most of your carbon fiber parts that you see are done on water jet, just for the heat, you know, keeping the heat out of it and stuff. So if we do offer this wing, it'll be in an all aluminum setup, and then it'll maybe be up to the customer to powder coat it or do whatever they want to with it, because we're going to get the spill plates powder coated and all the aluminum parts powder coated black, and then the carbon will just be what it is. So that's that. We'll get into something tomorrow, I don't know what. So it is now Thursday night. I think it's about 11:30 now. This is my night of the week that I'm going to choose to work pretty much all night on this so I can be uninterrupted, 100% focus on this. But just going over some of the little things that we've addressed during the day. This down pipe here, or up pipe, and we had it perfectly fit out the hood the way we wanted it. And then earlier in the video, when I changed the cold pipe to have the male-female O-ring style V-band flange on the turbo, I tweaked the fitment where it was a lot better than I originally had it. But when I done that, it allowed the turbo to relax back a little bit, because I actually had because it didn't have a locating flange on it, I was kind of having to pull it forward with my hand and clamp it to get it lined up perfectly. And just that maybe ½ degree or something of pull at the turbo, or at the front of the turbo, was picking the down pipe up, or the up pipe up. So when I relieved that tension, the pipe went down below the hood. So obviously that wasn't good, because I already had all that stuff figured out. So I rotated it up like another degree or something and got it back at the height I wanted it. And then I had to tweak the hole just a little bit in the hood where it wasn't touching the pipe. And now pretty much got it exactly the way I want it again. So it just goes to show you that if you change pretty much anything, or if you line anything up perfectly before you get pretty much everything on the car, something's going to move, something's going to change. It's going to change the fitment. It's just, everything's so finicky when it comes to that. So the headers, they shouldn't change anything because everything's already done. We're just going to build them to that, and we'll have all this stuff that we can be looking at and checking out while we're doing that, and nothing should change. So got that took care of. You can see the belt inlet is on the car. I've just got it mocked up on there. It's going to have like a ½ inch or so air gap between the back of it and the turbo. So this will be fixed into the front end. It might be a little bit not level right there. I don't know, but you can get the gist of how big the thing is. This is a true 6-inch. You can see my fist there. True 6-inch right here, and it tapers up to 10-inch on the overall diameter. But this will have carbon coming up right to the back of this and to the other side, and so this won't look, it won't look as like a big huge trumpet whenever you get all the carbon and stuff on both sides to kind of blend it in. Plus this is getting powder coated black, so it'll French in pretty good. And see, when you look at it from the side, it doesn't stick out as much as it looks like it does from the front. It's just really bright on that black car, and it just really jumps out there right now, but it won't look like that whenever we do it black. So Joey's gonna work on that tomorrow. It's Race Car Friday, so that'll be his primary focus, is getting the grill and stuff straightened out. I did put my headlights in these holes, and these cars from the factory, they have a little bucket back here, and then they have the little ring with the little bolt in it like you'd see on a Jeep or anything else. Well, obviously that don't have any of that. And I put my headlights in here, and of course they're maybe a ½ inch on the diameter smaller than that hole. So we're gonna have to get creative on how to fix those things in that hole, because they're not really heavy, but they probably weigh 2 or 3 pounds a piece. And I mean, that's pretty substantial if you're, doing 200 mile an hour and maybe setting the front down hard or something. You don't want them things to fall out. So we'll have to get creative there. My main focus tonight is to try to get this carbon done on the passenger side. I've got the scallop strips welded all the way back and ready. I've actually got the template already made for that to make it like this side, and I've already got it marked over here. So that's what I'm going to be doing tonight. Plan is to get this done, then jack the car up, and I'm going to do something on the bottom to kind of deflect the air away from this roll pan here. You can see the roll pan kind of cups under right there, and that'll be like a big air trap. So I'm gonna try to get something that goes from the side here on the rear quarters and kind of goes up at a less aggressive angle to kind of shoot the air out from underneath the car. But we'll see how it goes. I just want to get as much done as I can because we're still pretty much on schedule. You can see my sticky note list has really shrank. There's really not that many left, and you've seen how many there was a week or two ago. Most of this involves the doors, the Lexan, the windows, the windshield. One of them's just like a front harness tab. That's not going to be but a 5-minute ordeal probably. But once the carbon is done back here, I will get all of it started in here, which, you know, that really won't be that bad because we're just going to do big sheets that cover the whole underside. I'll just have to get Zeus fastener tabs and stuff underneath and get it where it can be held. And the goal is to kind of do all under the car, like all of it carbon, even under the driver. That way you can't really see any of those bars. Everything looks the same on both sides whenever you look underneath the car. So enough talking, let's get to work. So I know in one of the other videos I just showed you the finished piece after I bent the carbon. Well, I'm gonna actually video the entire process of how I went about bending that one piece of carbon. Now on the back side, I put some yellow tape for the clear finish. It still has the clear film on it. I put the tape on there also just in case it tries to gouge it or something like that or make it ugly. So before I cut this piece, I used my template and I marked where the bend line was going to be, which I just marked it on the end. I've got a mark there and a mark there. And of course it's going to be bending up. So I put it in here, and this is a Mittler Brothers finger brake, and it's a pretty good size one. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave that lock loose on that side. This might not be the perfect way to do it, but this is the way I done it last time and it worked out great, so I'm going to do it again. So leave that side unlocked and just let the weight of it kind of fall down on there. I usually use my knee and get this pushed down out of the way, and then I'm probably going to have to set the camera up here so I can scoot it where it needs to be. Once I get the marks lined up, I will only lock, oh, it'll stay. I'm going to only lock this one side down. So it's got a little bit of pressure on it across here, but there's no need to really try to mash it to China with a piece of carbon. I mean, there's no pressure on this, or this isn't a piece of metal, so it doesn't really take that much holding force to hold it. So I'm going to use the other camera on the stand to kind of film so I don't have to hold this one, and we'll get started. So what I've got here is just a cheap heat gun. I guess you could use a flame, but heat gun's probably safer for not trying to catch it on fire. But turn that on high. Just sit here and warm it up. Just go back and forth and just don't stay in one spot. Just kind of evenly warm it up. You're not trying to melt the plastic on the other side to protect the film. You're just trying to soften up the resin. And you can feel it with your hand. When it's just about too hot to keep your hand on it, it's probably about ready to start bending. So just when you start bending, go very, very slow. You can see the resin kind of bubbling up where it's flexing a little bit. When you see that, just slow down. And just keep applying even heat all the way across. Hang on, I'm about to move the camera. It's in the way of the brake. Okay. So when you're bending this, what I found, if it's got enough heat in it, you're not gonna hear it crackling like it's a crunching leaf or something. If you hear it crackling, then it's not warm enough. All right, now that we've got it like that, just let it cool for a minute. It doesn't take but just a minute against this cold metal here for the heat to get out of it. And there it is. This is probably not bent enough. I'm gonna take it over to the car and just check how much further I've got to go, but I didn't want to go too far. So I'll be back in just a minute. So it needs to be bent just a little bit more, just so I don't have as much tension on it. So I'm gonna put it back in here where I had it. And get the heat gun back out. Switch kind of sucks on that thing to turn off. So I think that's going to get it. said, I usually hold it in that position, let it cool all the way down. That metal will take a lot of the heat out of it. It's quickly hot, but it's quickly cool as well. You can see the line where the resin has bubbled up where it's got hot. But if you look on the other side, peel the tape off here now that we're done with it. There you go, nice and clean on this side. Like I said, I've never done this before, but just that one other piece. So it was just purely a common sense experimental thing. I mean, I figured with resin on it, it had to have heat. I did watch the Tim McAmus video. A bunch of you guys have said there's a video out there about that. Yes, I did watch it. Probably about it's been a while ago, but before I ever knew I'd be messing with this. So just because he said it could be done, putting a little bit of heat to it, he didn't really go into detail with the heat and the whole process here, but I figured that I can get it done. So that's how you do it. If any of y'all need to bend carbon, a little bit of heat and take your time. Okay, fast forward several hours and the carbon over the wheel is done. And I have got a plan now for the rear. I was going to show you my cardboard template, how I kind of lay it out before I cut the carbon. I got as much as I could with the brown cardboard, not taking, you know, hours and hours of time, but just rough cutting pieces, you know, plopping them over each other and then just taping them to each other, getting them all the way against the bottom of the other carbon like I want, around the tubes like I want, down at the edge of the roll pan like I want. And then when there's gaps on the side, just take some yellow tape and fill those gaps. And then when you peel this thing off slowly, I'll probably go around with a black marker before I take it off and just mark the hard edge, where if the tape is kind of floppy or something, I can still follow that black line and just trim it with scissors before I make my template. But the whole purpose of this piece in the back is kind of to deflect the air down, you know, and where this was kind of cupping it, this will kind of let it come out from underneath the car. So plus it cleans up all that back there really nice, you know, getting it all closed in. Especially this will be one piece of carbon fiber, and I will attach to the scallop strip up here. I'll do another scallop strip there, and I'll probably do a 1/4 inch rod across here with a scallop strip, and then I will do a scallop strip down here along the edge. I might end up doing some rivets or something. I ain't sure. If I weld that, it's gonna burn through my primer, but we can probably live with it. I'm just not sure if I'm gonna be able to get this thing wrapped in soon enough time before it's kind of out in front of everybody. I don't want a bunch of garbage showing. So we're gonna cut this piece out, or I'm gonna cut this piece out and get it fit up in there. Once I get it fit, I'm gonna put the scallop strips on, and I'm gonna put the Clecos in it. And then if I have enough time, I'm gonna go to the house and go to bed for a little bit. We'll just see. I put a light under here where you can see. You can kind of see how everything is laid out. That really did good on closing that in. Really cleaned it up. There's a kind of a bottom view of it. And remember, the whole idea of this was to kind of deflect the air where it wasn't catching it like a big shovel or something. You can see the air can get out now. But it made it look really clean under here. Ended up messing up. I almost did on this side, but there were some brackets right here that were in the way of the carbon. You can see on this side where I ground it off. Well, it got too hot and popped the primer off of it. There used to be some big rust holes right there, so there's some body pillar and big patch panels right here. So glad it's getting wrapped. But really happy with the progress tonight. Carbon fiber dust all over the camera. So the carbon in the back of the car is done at this point. Besides the little filler panels on the top, like I pointed out, and those probably won't take but a few minutes just to get something to kind of lay in there. I'm gonna come here on the bottom, and where this carbon is sticking down, I will sand it a little bit where it's flush with the roll pan. But besides that, carbon's done in the rear. So now we just have to address the driver compartment and the carbon and stuff on that. I'm gonna go home and get a shower, get all this carbon dust off of me, and then I'm gonna go to laser cutting here in a minute and pick up the wing parts, because we got an email yesterday afternoon that they are done, and they open at 7. So by the time I go home and eat and take a shower, they'll be ready to pick up. So we'll head back over there, but probably wait until next week to start that, because we really need to finish up this grill thing on the front today is the goal. So we'll see how far we get with that. So I did end up coming back and sanding this bottom lip like I said I was going to, and getting that all flush. It is Saturday morning now, and I've not got but about an hour I can work today. But yesterday Joey got the grill, everything mocked up with it, and we got the hole cut in the cardboard. I gotta go in here now and put some tape to fill this hole up. But on the back side, you can see it's got the aluminum scallop strips bent and bolted to the front bumper. You see it's bolted all the way across, so it's ready for the piece of carbon. But what I'm going to do is put some tape probably on the back side so I can reach it better and fill those voids, and that way when I go over here and cut the piece of carbon, it'll be nice and tight against that bellow. And you can see we got just a little bit of an air gap right there, which is what we want right before the turbo. And once get that cut, got to figure out how to fix this thing into the front end really tight. Probably do some panel bond or something like that on the back side of the carbon. But this morning, that's the goal, was to get this piece done and in the grill before I have to leave, and then that'll wrap up this week's video. On the table here we got our wing parts. Now this is something that we'll probably offer in a kit for these cars if it does work out good, but it's dusty right now. carbon dust all over it. But you got your spill plates. These are bent to form with the curve of the body. And these are the brackets that attach to those. Obviously on the back side, I'm just laying them up there. And this will attach over to the deck, which we're doing carbon on this car, or on my car. And then you got your wicker bill here, which have the flanges for your struts incorporated into it right here. And then this is the adjustable wicker bill lip. This is the, that'll go right there. So my finger will be in the car, and this is the back, and then the wicker bill here will be able to adjust up and down just a little bit depending on what you need. But if this setup works, we're going to probably offer this as a builder kit for the Datsun guys, and just this will be aluminum because our laser cutting plates don't have a way to cut the carbon, and we don't deal with any water jet people at the moment. But it'll come with a piano hinge for the back, and just, you know, there's no real wing kits out there for a Datsun, so we thought, you know, we'll go to the trouble of doing this for mine. We might as well offer it for other people if it ends up turning out good. So that's that. So that's how it's gonna look. Got this fit nice and tight in there. Zero gap. So it'll come behind here and resin that piece or something into the carbon and finish getting all these fasteners around there. But it's gonna look pretty sick. And my wife's at Cracker Barrel, so I better go meet her. So I'll see you guys next week for more updates as we close in getting this thing done. Maybe if our Lexan will get here, maybe in the next couple of weeks, this thing will be ready to go to Georgia to get wired. So got carbon dust all over the camera, all on my lungs too. So see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in.